associated with this, yesterday, as you're probably aware, Leader Schumer and I had a call with President-elect Joe Biden. We'll stay in close touch in the coming days. We spoke about the intensifying pandemic and the economic crisis accompanying it, and about the urgent need for Congress to pass a bipartisan bill in the lame duck session that provides resources to fight the pandemic and relief for working families and small businesses, support for state and local governments to keep the frontline workers on the payroll, and engage expanded unemployment insurance and affordable health care for families. The health care piece, of course, being essential. At the same time, as you know, earlier in the week, the administration was, instead of crushing the virus, trying to crush the Affordable Care Act. And of course, we were very pleased at the presentations that were made in support of the Affordable Care Act in the courts. But on our call, back to our call, that wasn't on our call, we also discussed the need for bipartisan solutions to create millions of good-paying jobs, including through investments in infrastructure, manufacturing, research and development, and clean energy. Infrastructure legislation has largely not been a partisan issue. We believe this is a good place where we can find common ground. But that is something we can work on now, but as we go into the new Congress. But for now, the two areas of the coronavirus and also to pass an omnibus bill in a bipartisan way. I'm optimistic that that will happen. I'm an appropriator, so I have a good rapport with the appropriators, and I think that left to their own devices, they can get this done, as I've said before. Chairman Shelby and I had this conversation, assuring each other that we want to have a bill. Again, our focus in the Congress now in this lame duck, it continues to be on COVID relief. This is a red alert, all hands on deck. As Leader Schumer and I discussed yesterday, this is an emergency of the highest magnitude. And yet, our Republican colleagues want to focus elsewhere instead of recognizing as the health emergency, which science has given us a path to crush. Just let's, again, we had worse numbers than even yesterday. The numbers speak very eloquently. 160,000 infections were reported, a horrifying number, following more than a week of over 100,000 infections a day. These levels are 2 times higher than the summer peak. More than 67,000 Americans are hospitalized with COVID, a new record threatening overwhelming our hospitals in our rural areas too. Over 10 million people have been infected, over 10 million people. 240,000 Americans have died because of this pandemic. According to a news report this morning, which I'm sure you have all seen, it was reported that more than 130 Secret Service agents are infected or quarantining in the wake of Trump's reckless campaign schedule. 130 Secret Service agents. Meanwhile, on the economic front, over 20 million Americans are on unemployment. America has 1 million fewer teachers and education jobs compared to a year ago, and that has an impact on our children's education. 8 million people have fallen into poverty. 17 million children are food insecure. There's no time to waste. We must save lives and livelihoods. And yet, Republicans in Congress continue their tactics of delay, distort, and deny, which has led to deaths. Now they're trying to distract and divide the country as they refuse to accept the election results. The election is over. Joe Biden is the president-elect, elected with a mandate of over 78 million votes. But don't take it from me. The Elections Infrastructure Government Coordinating Council and the Election Infrastructure Sector Coordinating Executive Committees said in their joint statement, this November 3rd election was the most secure in American history. There is no evidence that any voting system deleted or lost votes, changed votes, or was in any way compromised. It went on to say, while we know there are many unfounded claims and opportunities for misinformation and the process of our elections, we can assure you that we have the utmost confidence in the security and integrity of our elections, and you should too. The Republicans shamefully pretending otherwise are doing serious damage to our American democracy here and as viewed throughout the world, and making it even harder to address the massive health and economic crises facing America right now. The longer the Republicans keep up the charade, the further out of control the COVID crisis will spiral and more endangered Americans will be. I urge our Republicans to accept the facts, acknowledge the crisis, and immediately come to the table to work on COVID relief. Again, this takes place at a time where there's a vaccine on the horizon, giving people hope. But that should also give them encouragement to listen to science on the way to the vaccine. Testing, tracing, treatment, mask wearing, isolation, separation, sanitation, all of those things. Because the sooner we do that, and the sooner we have a vaccine, the sooner we crush the virus. I hope it would be an incentive for people to follow science all the way to the vaccine. And in that score, in our COVID bill, we do have sufficient a great deal of funding for the vaccine. The development, as I said yesterday, should be taken up under the defense bill. I just don't know why the president is not doing that. And then also, we want to make sure that when the vaccine occurs, there will be sufficient funding and sufficient vaccine to reach everyone in our country, as well as in the world, because as we all know, unless we're all secure, none of us is. Any questions?